What's going on, everybody? It is the number one Salesforce Marketing Cloud podcast in the world with your hosts, Kalen Moss, Theory and Thacker. And today we've got some good, juicy goodness for you. And I'm going to let Therian take over. He's got some stuff to talk about. He's been doing some really cool stuff in Marketing Cloud lately. And he's also got some really cool stuff for you. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Kalen.
yep.
First of all, it is Wednesday, March 8th for most of us, unless you're on the APAC side of the border. But I want to just say to anybody from India that's watching today, happy Holi Day. And Holi Day is basically the festival of colors. It's celebrated on March 8th and acquires a renowned spot in ancient Hindu festivals. So basically what happens is it's when you see people covered with all the different colored powder, right? And it's scattered throughout the air. And it's a delightful, just an absolutely amazing day. And basically it's a way to welcome spring here. So I had several teammates that are celebrating today, and I just wanted to share that with everybody before we dive into Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So thank you for that, Kalen. So let's talk about what Therian's been up to. Therian's been writing out a checklist for a full integration, which has been a blast. Basically building out the flow chart for the exact situation that we're going to be facing with this client, because we're going to have a couple different clouds being integrated at the same time. So it'll be a delicate area at points in times. But obviously, when it comes down to it, to demystify the complicated, we're looking for simple things. Data models based on, primary keys, how can we link everything together, making sure our integration is good with Marketing Cloud Connect, making sure we have the right users assigned the right roles, making sure we have the right partner to work with at the business to make sure they're situated to take care of tasks once we step away from the integration and implementation. And, it really is just the basics and fundamentals all put together in a project, like a complete, just think of it like, as an entire Lego project. You start on page one when you get the directions, and you're learning. And at the beginning, you just can't see how it all comes together. And then all of a sudden you get to the last page and you look and you're like, I don't know how I just turned all those random colored blocks and bricks and pieces into the Batmobile or Thor's hammer or whatever your Lego project might be. Maybe it's Hobbit. But yeah, that's really what it feels like to me. Is I've got a giant pile of Legos in front of me, and I'm putting them together to make sure they fit in a seamless manner. So when it's time for Salesforce Marketing Cloud to fire up, I'm ready. And that's what I've been working on lately. Today is flowchart day. I'm actually going to break my flowchart down by sprint week, so I can actually say what I'm going to be doing per week within my flowchart and what step I'm expected to be at for myself. And of course, I share that with my project manager, all my developers, my architects, and everybody involved. So they just have a high level overview, and they can look and be like, oh, this is where Therian's at right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm working on that. Go ahead, Kalen.
How's that? How have you found putting all that together be? This is your first time doing that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How have you found that to be?
From a production environment, this is my first time. From not just theory, but from production style, this is definitely my first time. It is, don't be overwhelmed with the simple. Okay, so each building block is the next step to where you need to go. I mean, it really is. So if you just start at the foundation, first of all, you can't do anything with Salesforce Marketing Cloud unless you are either connected to a CRM, a cloud, or you just have a lot of data coming in, right? So, but outside of that, so all of this is going to lead up to the topic that I wanted to address for Adora. Okay. And she asked me about REST and SOAP API. I've been calling it SOAPy lately, but believe it or not, this is a part of my integration consideration process. When I'm defining scope, when I'm defining exactly how we're going to be delivering this data, how immediate it needs to happen, we need to start thinking about APIs. We need to start thinking about SOAP and REST, because it's not going to be a file drop, which is the last thing we want to do in our Salesforce Marketing Cloud, is a manual file drop, right? We don't need somebody clocking in at 3:30 p.m. every day and be like, all right, time to drop the file in the box. So for our first step is automation, and automation's amazing. We can set it up on a time schedule, anything we need, but then we get into SOAP and REST APIs. And then we're talking about like instantaneous, when things are happening, they're instantaneously changing the environment, right? And so I actually wrote up a little thing just to make sure I didn't miss any verbiage for her. And I learned some things myself as I was doing a deeper dive. So let's just cover the high level overview here. So Salesforce Marketing Cloud provides both the SOAP, which is the Simple Object Access Protocol, which I call SOAPy, and the REST, the representational state transfer. Okay. Of these two, SOAP is going to be the more complicated tool. Okay. And I'll tell you why here in just a minute. So these APIs for developers, Kaylin, me and you, as we're stepping into this deeper and deeper developer world, it allows us to create custom solutions. Just like we talked about, things that happen instantaneously data-wise, we make an instantaneous reaction, right? I mean, just immediately, right? So the SOAP API is basically the standard protocol. Yep. The standard protocol for exchanging information in between web services. So it allows Marketing Cloud objects, the access to Marketing Cloud objects and functionality by sending XML requests over HTTP and HTTPS. So what does that mean? That just basically means is that it's giving us the flexibility to interact with Marketing Cloud and enabling developers like me and you to create, update, delete data, as well as execute complex queries and retrieve data, boom, just like that, right? I mean, in the blink of an eye. That's really what's happening there. So that's what SOAP is allowing us to do. So let's summarize SOAP before we go to REST. So in summary, SOAP API is more suited for complex integrations with Marketing Cloud, while REST is better for simpler integrations. So let's talk about why REST is better for simpler integrations. So REST is definitely a more lightweight protocol that we're using, and it just provides a simple interaction with a web service. So it enables developers like me and you, Kaylin, to access Marketing Cloud resources using similar methods that we just talked about. Standard HTTP, things like get, post, put, and delete. So those are going to be terms that we can cover, Friday if you want to. But basically the REST API provides a modern and user-friendly approach to integrating with Marketing Cloud, yada, 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 allowing developers to create, update, and delete data, as well as execute simple queries and retrieve data. So in the end, we have SOAP being the more complex integration, dealing with web services, while REST is a simpler integration, dealing with just quick, easy, like get this, post this, put this, delete this. So I haven't got far enough to dive into how we can integrate the two of them together. That's going to be just a big next step. But basically, I mean, these are both extremely powerful tools that as a developer, when we're dealing with immediate actions that need to take place all the time within our environment. Let's say, Kaylin, you walked in and you had your appointment for your laser vision checkup, right? And they said, hey, yeah. So did you get the reminder? So that reminder would be almost an immediate activation on you, right? So you get a reminder 24 hours before your appointment, before you walked in. You'd be like, hey, yeah, I actually did get that reminder. And that's why I probably would have forgot. I'm sorry. And then you walk in and you're there for your appointment. It's more of an immediate action right there. So yeah, so that's our beginning dive into SOAP and REST APIs. I know that's a lot of information, and there's so much further to go down this wormhole from the developer aspect of all of it. But it's funny that Adora asked this earlier this week, because as I'm sitting here building up my integration report and my implementation report, I'm like, these are parts I need to define in scope. Are these things that we're going to have to really, really focus on? Where can we start? Can we start with automations, or do we need to just dive headfirst into SOAP and REST APIs? And in my mind, I'm like, okay, let's start with automations, please. Let's just figure it out. So here I am, I'm digging through a scope of work, and I'm like, okay, I see what we've said. But no, it's been great. It's been challenging, but I want anybody to know it's no different than being a construction worker on a site with a blueprint, an electrician, a mechanic at a shop with a wrench in your hand. We're all following a blueprint. We're all following a game plan and a line of execution to get our jobs done, right? So just because this is technology and it's cloud-based, don't let that mystify it for you. It is still just the same thing, right? And the same thing applies for Microsoft experts, Adobe experts. It's really, we just know how to turn wrenches with a keyboard. That's the only difference. We know how to operate construction equipment with a keyboard and a mouse. And we're doing it behind the scenes. But those guys, it's just those men and women out there, it's just the same thing. It's just the same thing. It's just a different style of job with a different blueprint. And once you understand that blueprint and you start to basically dive into the deep end, experience your hurdles, learn from them, grow from them. Guess what happens in IT when you fail? When you rebound from that failure, you have a new tool for your chest. You're going to go, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget getting called out in a meeting or somebody going, well, T over there, you know what I mean? You'll never have any of that, right? I mean, you're going to experience those things, but every one of those experiences is a new tool for your toolbox. So don't let it direct your career or let it change your day. There are people that have been in this environment for 20 years, 40 years in IT. I mean, one of my solution guys, he's been in IT probably longer than I've been alive. I'm not even going to joke, or close to it. But, and the guy knows everything. He's seen it all. I mean, he really has. So it's all to him so simplific. He's just like, yeah, sure. He goes, throw a problem at me. I love it because I'm bored at this point. He's honestly bored at this point. Yeah, absolutely. So go ahead.
Any parting pieces of advice for the audience based on the wisdom gained over this past couple of days?
So anybody that is currently in the interview perspective, going through interviews, dealing with recruiters, getting the second interview, anybody that's currently in that process, don't let any of that stop you. Don't let it stop you. Don't let it hold you back. This is just practice to get to the job that is meant for you. So keep digging, and you're going to find the treasure in there, in the sand. You will. I promise you. It's in there. So keep digging, build off of it. You're eventually going to learn when a bad interview is, because you're going to have done so many interviews. You're going to be like, I'm not even sure if I want to work for them. Like that interview was rough. Like I know they don't have any idea what they're talking about, and I have no idea what that's going to mean for me when I come on site. So that's scary, right? That's scary. Nobody wants a fear factor situation when you go to work.
Exactly.
Joe Rogan pops out with a microphone. He's like, eat cockroaches, lay with snake. You never know what's going to happen. But
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, because you really don't know what's going to happen. You go on site and you heard all this lingo, and all of a sudden you're like, what am I doing? Like, what am I actually doing right now? This has nothing to do with what I was hired for. Yep. So it's a process. It is really a process. But when you get to the end of it, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah, that's good advice, man. Well, I love it. I think that's good for today. I mean, honestly, you're talking about your implementation process.
Yep.
You talked about SOAP and REST API. You given some really good parting advice. Honestly, I really like the structure of this. I think this is good for the community. I think what I would love to see is, if you are watching this, if you are tuning in, go ahead and let us know what you want to learn more about.
Yep.
What you want to hear from Triple T and I. Let us know what you want advice on. But Triple T, I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
I want to let you get some buffer time into
for
your
sure.
day, going into your work day.
I appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
Yep.
And this is the Minute Admin crew.
Yes, sir.
And for anyone who is watching, sorry, I've lost my voice a little bit, so it sounds a little raspy. Go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, share if this gave you value. And Triple T, thank you, man. As
Absolutely.
always.
Happy Holy Day and Minute Admin out.
Minute Admin out.
Thanks, buddy.
See you later. See ya.